I've been using the iPhone X since it launched about a week ago, and in this video I'm going to compare it to my iPhone 8 Plus. This isn't a full comparison, and I'm not going to go over every new detail. For that, click the card above to check out our full review video, or use the link in the description to read our super detailed written review. I want to get away from the spec sheets and benchmarks and just talk about the user experience. Was it worth switching over? What really surprised me? And what I've been disappointed with? One of the biggest changes is obviously the display, and I have to admit I was a bit disappointed at first. I'm not talking about the brightness, colors, or contrast, which are all fantastic. My disappointments came from the size. Even though the iPhone X is rated at 5.8 inches compared to 5.5 inches on the iPhone 8 Plus, the actual surface area of the display is slightly smaller, and that's if you're using the full display. The difference is definitely noticeable after you use the X for a bit. If you're in an app that hasn't been updated, or watching a video without the annoying notch getting in the way, you'll be viewing a 4.96 inch display, so very close to the regular iPhone 8's 4.7 inches, which explains why the display feels so small. This may not be a big deal to everyone, but I love large high quality displays. In fact, I didn't even buy an iPhone until the iPhone 6 Plus was released, since the screens were, in my opinion, too small. After a week of use, a few more apps have been updated to make use of the full display, and I've gotten more used to the phone itself, so honestly now I don't really mind it. Yes, I do miss the larger display at times, but after using the iPhone 8 Plus again, I realized that I'd much rather have the narrower display for day-to-day use that fits so well in the hand, especially if Apple does a few software tweaks for video. With that said, let's move to the notch. Honestly, I'm not a fan, but I'll have to deal with it. As both a content creator and one who watches a ton of videos, I have to say that the notch does not disappear for me. What's even worse is the full screen crop. Apple and Google only give us one option: view a smaller screen, which isn't the end of the world, or go full screen and deal with the ugly cutout and cutting off heads. The director, filmmaker, or content creator who made the video you're watching likely framed that video in a specific way, and with the crop, you're losing a part of that. This is an easy software fix. I'd love to be able to adjust the zoom when going from full screen to avoid that notch, but get a larger display, or at least be able to adjust the video vertically. For those that view a lot of 16:9 content, the iPhone 8 Plus is still the king, with a noticeably larger display and no cutouts to deal with. With all of that out of the way, Touch ID is dead. Yes, Face ID has limitations. At times it's slower than Touch ID, and I have had to enter my password manually more often than before, but it's well worth it. Most of the time it's quick enough that I don't even notice it, and being able to log into secure apps automatically and use the Safari autofill without having to move my hands or even think about it is glorious. We have a video on that, which you can check out by clicking the card above. After a week, there's no way I'd want to go back to using Touch ID. The convenience is too great, and the few limitations it has will be improved over time. The sensor array also provides for incredible facial tracking for things like animoji, which I've only used a few times, and selfie portrait mode. The latter hasn't been optimized yet and is experiencing similar issues, like too much blur and messy edges that we got when the rear-facing portrait mode launched, so I'm avoiding it for now. Now let's talk about the other big change we have because of the removal of Touch ID, the gestures. Swiping up has become the new normal, but isn't really any better than using the home button. On the other hand, I really like the quick app switcher at the bottom of the screen. As someone who multitasks often, this has been amazing, and I still get a bit excited every time I swipe through apps. With that said, the regular app switcher has taken a big step backwards. Not only does it take longer to open, and it sometimes requires a few tries if you do it too quick, you now have to hold down the app until a minus icon shows up to close it. Once again, if you don't hold down long enough and swipe up, you'll have to redo the process. Some say that Apple wants to stop people from habitually closing apps, but there are certain apps like navigation, music, or YouTube where it's much faster to double tap the home button and swipe up to close than go into the app, stop what it's doing, and then have it annoyingly auto-resume when you get into a car or connect to a Bluetooth device. Apple, I could deal with the drag up and hold to go into the app switcher, but at least let us quickly swipe up to close the app. My other complaint is the control center. Unlike the iPhone 8 where you swipe up from the bottom to access, now you have to swipe down from the top right, which is much less comfortable. Swiping up from the bottom right would be easier, or at least let us swipe down along the right side of the display. I understand that Apple doesn't want to confuse you since swiping up is now the new home button, but we now have 3 swipe down commands. From the top, middle, or left we get notifications, on the right hand side we get control center, and anywhere below that for Siri search. Yes, you can enable reachability for yet another swipe down gesture, but that makes it a 2-step process to get into Control Center. Overall, the iPhone 8's familiar commands are more efficient, and the best new gesture, the quick app switching, could be easily added to older iPhones. The last notable change I want to touch on is the telephoto camera. It's slightly faster and now features optical image stabilization, and the difference is huge. For handheld videos, we now have much smoother footage, and for photos, the iPhone can now use slower shutter speeds, resulting in a lot less noise, and the ability to use portrait mode in darker environments. Those are really the biggest changes that I noticed. Yes, the OLED display has amazing contrast and is brighter, but the iPhone 8 Plus has arguably the best LCD display in a phone, so the difference isn't huge. The speakers are now more balanced, but the 8s are also one of the best on the market. Most of the internals are also identical, so the performance is on par, both being excellent. Battery life is similar and both feature wireless charging. So is it worth switching to the iPhone 10? For me, yeah. But I'm a techie and also a bit addicted to having the latest and greatest. The display and the notch is a downgrade for video, but the dual stabilization is a big upgrade, and that matters since I take a lot of portrait mode photos and video. And lastly, after getting used to the smaller size, the 8 Plus feels unwieldy. If you're contemplating upgrading to the iPhone 10 but are okay with the size of your phone and watch a lot of video, I'd say stick it out another year. Sure, Face ID is awesome, but if you can wait, we should see some good improvements and tweaks with the second generation versions of everything that is new this year. If you enjoyed this video, like it and hit that subscribe button. Also, check out our price guide, which makes it extremely easy to find the best deals on Apple products, updated daily. Be sure to follow us on social media, and we'll see you in the next video.